I can taste it already.
Think you know everything about McDonald's fries? Think again. A leaked video has just come out showing some crazy facts about how those golden sticks are made. This ingredient list might blow your mind. There's way more than just potatoes. What you're about to learn could completely transform your perception of that iconic red box. The Russet Burbank revelation. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Did you know that McDonald's doesn't just use any potato for their world-famous fries? No, they specifically demand one variety, the Russet Burbank potato. And there's a very particular reason for this.
If you go to McDonald's, anywhere in the world, you will find French fries, or chips as you call them, and you will find that they're always made from the same potato, the Russet Burbank potato.
I'll get to the reason why this Russet Bank potato is controversial, but first, that was Michael Pollan, a renowned food journalist and author, explaining a critical aspect of McDonald's global operation. The Russet Burbank isn't just any potato, it's an unusually long potato that creates those picture-perfect fries that stand tall in McDonald's iconic red boxes. The company's obsession with consistency and appearance drives this very specific requirement.
This is a potato from America that's unusually long and difficult to grow, but that's what they want, because when you're McDonald's, you like those red boxes with a little bouquet of very long chips. It looks really good, and so they insist that all their potatoes be Russet Burbanks, and they further insist that they have no blemishes at all.
Now, this might seem like a trivial detail, but it has profound implications for agriculture and the environment. By demanding this specific potato variety and enforcing strict aesthetic standards, McDonald's, which purchases approximately 7% of the entire US potato crop, wields enormous influence over farming practices across America and beyond. But here's where the story gets more concerning. The Russet Burbank is notoriously difficult to grow. It's susceptible to a condition called net necrosis, which causes brown lines or spots in the potatoes. These blemishes are purely cosmetic. They don't affect taste or safety, but McDonald's strict quality standards reject potatoes with these marks. So how do farmers ensure their potatoes meet these exacting standards? This brings us to a controversial practice that Pollan highlighted in his famous speech at the Royal Society for the Arts in London back in 2013.
There's a very common defect of Russet Burbank potatoes called net necrosis. And you've seen potatoes with a little brown line sometimes, or spots that come through it. Well, McDonald's won't buy them if your potatoes have that. And the only way to eliminate that is to eliminate an aphid. And the only way to do that is with a pesticide called Monitor.
Monitor, its scientific name is methimidofos, is a powerful organophosphate pesticide that Pollan claimed was used extensively on potato crops destined for McDonald's fryers. According to his research, this pesticide was so potent that farmers avoided their fields for days after application.
That is so toxic that the farmers who grow these potatoes in Idaho won't venture outside into their fields for 5 days after they spray.
The implications of this are staggering. Consider for a moment a chemical so hazardous that the people who apply it won't go near it for nearly a week, and yet this was allegedly being sprayed on potatoes meant for human consumption. The question naturally arises, what happens to these chemicals? Do they simply disappear before the potatoes reach our plates? According to Pollan, the answer is both yes and no. After harvesting, these potatoes reportedly undergo a fascinating and somewhat disturbing process.
And then when they harvest their potatoes, they have to put them in these atmosphere-controlled sheds the size of a football stadium because they're not edible for 6 weeks. They have to off-gas all the chemicals in them. So you see, the desire for a certain kind of chip leads to a certain kind of agriculture.
Let that sink in for a moment. Football stadium-sized storage facilities where potatoes must sit for 6 weeks to off-gas chemicals before they're considered safe to eat, all because consumers expect perfectly shaped, blemish-free French fries. It's a stark example of how aesthetic preferences can drive agricultural practices with far-reaching consequences. But here's where we need to put on our critical thinking caps. While Pollan's claims made for compelling viewing and ignited important conversations about food production, subsequent fact-checking has revealed that parts of his narrative were outdated by the time he gave his speech in 2013. Monitor was actually banned in the United States in 2009 and in the European Union in 2008, several years before Pollan's speech. The pesticide was phased out due to concerns about its toxicity, and McDonald's suppliers had long since moved to alternative pest management strategies by 2013. When contacted by fact-checkers in 2023, the Monitor acknowledged that his information was outdated based on research he had conducted in the late 1990s for his book The Omnivore's Dilemma, he expressed support for updating the information, recognizing that agricultural practices change over time. This doesn't invalidate all of Pollan's broader critiques of industrial food production, but it does highlight the importance of staying current with our information. The food system is constantly evolving, with changes in regulations, technologies, and practices occurring regularly. So what's the current reality of McDonald's potato sourcing? According to more recent information, McDonald's now uses non-GMO Russet Burbank, Russet Ranger, Umatilla Russet, and Shepherdie potatoes, chosen for their flavor, crispiness, and ability to produce long fries. The company and its suppliers confirm they comply with current regulatory standards for pesticide use. Modern potato storage does indeed involve large, atmosphere-controlled facilities, but this is standard practice for maintaining quality and ensuring year-round availability, not flavor-fickly for off-gassing chemicals, as Pollan suggested. Experts at McGill University's Office for Science and Society have called the off-gassing claim pure nonsense. Still, McDonald's strict standards for potato appearance do drive certain agricultural practices. The preference for perfect, long potatoes means that farmers must prioritize these varieties even though they may be more challenging to grow than other potatoes. And while Monitor may no longer be used, potato farming still involves the use of various pesticides, raising ongoing questions about sustainability and environmental impact. What's particularly fascinating about this case is how a single consumer preference, long, uniform fries, can ripple throughout an entire agricultural system. As Pollan correctly notes, so you see the desire for a certain kind of chip leads to a certain kind of agriculture. This is a powerful illustration of how our food choices as consumers can shape farming practices, for better or worse. Every time we purchase food, we're casting a vote for the kind of food system we want to support. As we move into the second part of our investigation, we'll look more closely at what actually goes into McDonald's French fries beyond just the potatoes. The ingredient list might surprise you. There's much more than just potatoes, oil, and salt involved in creating those perfectly golden, irresistibly crispy fries. The question we should all be asking isn't just, are these fries safe to eat, but rather, what kind of food system am I supporting when I buy these fries? Because in today's interconnected world, every food choice we make has ripple effects far beyond our own plates. What's really in those fries? You might think that French fries are a simple food, just potatoes, oil, and salt, right? Well, if you were making them at home, that might be true. But when it comes to McDonald's French fries, particularly in the United States, the reality is considerably more complex. In fact, the US version of McDonald's fries contains astonishing Burbank ingredients. Let's walk through the journey of a potato as it becomes a McDonald's French fry, examining what happens at each stage of this elaborate process. After those potatoes spend time in storage to ensure proper starch content, a technique pioneered by McDonald's founder Ray Kroc to ensure consistent quality, they begin their transformation. According to videos released by McDonald's and their suppliers, the process starts with thorough washing and steam peeling to remove the skins. Next comes the cutting phase, where industrial-scale machinery slices the potatoes into those perfectly uniform strips. But what happens next is where things really get interesting. The freshly cut potato strips undergo a process called blanching. This step is crucial for removing excess sugars that could cause the fries to brown too quickly or unevenly. It's all about achieving that consistent golden color that McDonald's is famous for. After blanching, the fries receive a dextrose solution, a type of sugar, which helps maintain consistent color during the cooking process. Isn't that interesting? They remove natural sugars from the potatoes only to add a different type of sugar back in for color control. Then comes an ingredient that might surprise you: sodium acid pyrophosphate. This compound prevents the fries from turning gray after processing, another measure to ensure those fries maintain their appetizing appearance from factory to restaurant. But perhaps the most controversial addition comes next. McDonald's fries in the United States receive something called natural beef flavor. This might sound alarming to vegetarians and vegans, and for good reason. This flavoring contains hydrolyzed wheat and milk derivatives, making the fries unsuitable for those with certain dietary restrictions or ethical commitments. Why add beef flavor to potato fries? The answer lies in McDonald's history. Until 1990, McDonald's cooked their fries in beef tallow, rendered beef fat, which gave them a distinctive savory flavor that many customers loved. When the company switched to vegetable oil due to health concerns about saturated fat, they wanted to maintain that familiar taste. The solution? Add beef flavoring to the fries during processing. This change led to a significant controversy in 2001, when vegetarian groups filed a lawsuit against McDonald's, claiming they had been misled about the fries' vegetarian status. The company eventually paid a $10 million settlement and now more clearly discloses that their US fries contain beef flavoring. Interestingly, McDonald's fries in other countries Countries like India, the UK, and Australia don't contain this beef flavoring and are suitable for vegetarians and, in some cases, vegans. This highlights how the same iconic product can have different formulations around the world based on local dietary preferences and regulations. The processing continues with partial frying, known as par frying, at the factory. The fries are partially cooked for about 45 to 60 seconds in vegetable oil, typically canola or sunflower oil, then quickly frozen to preserve their quality. This par frying step is crucial for developing flavor and creating the right texture. After freezing, the fries are packaged and shipped to McDonald's restaurants worldwide. This is why you'll never see a potato being cut inside a McDonald's kitchen. All that work happens at the processing facility long before the fries reach the restaurant. When you order fries at McDonald's, the frozen, par-fried potato strips are finish fried in vegetable oil. In the US, this is typically Clear Valley High Oleic Canola Oil, which has been used since 2008 when the company eliminated trans fats from their cooking oil. Finally, the freshly fried potatoes are salted and served hot. The complexity doesn't end with the ingredients and processing. McDonald's has also carefully engineered the entire French fry experience. The size and shape of the fry containers, the way the salt adheres to the hot oil on the surface of the fries, even the brief window of optimal temperature and texture, all of these factors have been meticulously studied and designed to create what the food industry calls craveability. This term was highlighted by Michael Pollan in his critique of processed foods.
And the reason they do that is those are three incredibly attractive and incredibly cheap ingredients. And when they're layered properly, as in a chip or various pastries and forms of junk food, they're incredibly addictive. And in fact, people in the industry, they don't talk about addiction in the food industry, even though they traffic in addiction.
The food industry's approach to creating highly palatable, craveable products has real implications for public health.
And they talk about craveability. It's the same thing. And snackability is another term they use.
McDonald's fries are engineered to hit what food scientists call the bliss point, that perfect combination of salt, fat, and carbohydrates that makes us want to keep eating. A small serving of McDonald's fries contains 230 calories and 160 milligrams of sodium, while a large serving jumps to 340 calories and 350 milligrams of sodium. Fast food companies have mastered the art of creating foods that bypass our body's natural satiety signals, the mechanisms that tell us when we've had enough. This can lead to overconsumption and, over time, contribute to health problems like obesity and cardiovascular disease, as Pollan notes in his critique of how corporations cook compared to how individuals prepare food at home.
Corporations cook very differently than people do. They use vast amounts of salt, fat, and sugar, much more than you would ever use in your own cooking.
This observation points to a fundamental difference between home cooking and industrially produced food. When we cook at home, we generally use ingredients we can recognize and amounts of salt, sugar, and fat that are moderate. Industrial food processing, by contrast, often uses ingredients unfamiliar to home cooks and in combinations designed to maximize palatability and shelf life rather than nutritional value. Consider the various additives in McDonald's fries that you wouldn't use if making fries at home: dextrose, sodium acid pyrophosphate, natural beef flavor, and in some regions, anti-foaming agents like polydimethylsiloxane, a silicone-based compound used to prevent oil splattering, and preservatives like TBHQ, tertiary butyl hydroquinone, that extend shelf life. To be fair, these additives are FDA approved and considered safe in the amounts used. The anti-foaming agent polydimethylsiloxane, for example, is also used in cosmetics and various food products, while TBHQ is a common preservative in many processed foods. But the cumulative effect of consuming many different processed foods, each with their own array of additives, remains a subject of ongoing research and concern among some health experts. McDonald's has responded to criticism and changing consumer preferences over the years. In 2014, as part of a transparency campaign, they released videos showing how their fries are made, featuring Mythbusters co-host Grant Imahara. The company has also eliminated trans fats from their cooking oils and made their ingredient lists more accessible to the public. However, critics argue that these changes are more about public relations than substantive reform. The core product, a highly processed potato product designed for maximum palatability and profit, remains essentially unchanged. However, it's worth reflecting on the stark contrast between a homemade French fry and the McDonald's version. A homemade fry might contain 3 ingredients: potatoes, oil, and salt. The McDonald's version, at least in the US, contains 19 ingredients and undergoes multiple processing steps across different facilities before reaching your tray. This complexity isn't unique to McDonald's. It's characteristic of the industrial industrial food system that dominates modern eating. Understanding this system and its implications for our health and environment is the first step toward making more informed choices about what we eat and why. In addition, the broader implications of McDonald's French fry production and draw some fascinating parallels to another recent fast food controversy, KFC's All Hail Gravy advertisement, which has sparked its own firestorm of discussion about how fast food companies market their products and what that reveals about our relationship with processed foods. Fast food controversies. Now, let's zoom out to consider the bigger picture and draw some fascinating parallels to a recent controversial KFC advertisement that has sparked debate about fast food companies marketing their products. The recent controversy that has illuminated similar themes in fast food marketing, KFC's All Hail Gravy advertisement. Released in March 2025 in the United Kingdom and Ireland, this surreal, provocative ad has generated significant attention and nearly 1,000 complaints to the UK's Advertising Standards Authority, ASA. The KFC's controversial All Hail Gravy advertisement. Launched in March 2025 in the UK and Ireland, this ad is part of KFC's ongoing Believe in Chicken campaign created by the agency Mother London. The ad features a surreal, folk horror aesthetic where a man wandering through enchanted woodlands encounters a group of cult-like followers carrying a golden egg. They lead him to a sacred lake of gravy where he undergoes a baptism-like ritual, emerging transformed into a KFC mini filet to the cheers of the crowd. The parallels between this KFC advertisement and the McDonald's French fry controversies we've been exploring are striking. Both reflect how fast food giants use provocative marketing that reveals deeper truths about our relationship with processed foods and corporate messaging. Let's examine these connections more closely. First, both controversies involve fast food companies taking creative risks that ended up polarizing audiences. Just as Michael Pollan's claims about McDonald's potato farming practices sparked heated debate, KFC's All Hail Gravy ad has generated nearly 600 complaints to the UK's Advertising Standards Authority, ASA, with critics claiming it mocks Christianity and baptism, glorifies cults and Satanism, and even promotes cannibalism. In fact, complaints ultimately reached 766 within 2 weeks of the ad's release, though the ASA determined there was no need for an investigation into whether it breached advertising codes. Second, both controversies reveal how fast food companies carefully engineer not just their food, but the entire customer experience. McDonald's meticulously designs their fries for maximum craveability using industrial food science, while KFC's ad campaign deliberately creates a mythological backstory to elevate gravy to divine heights and offer a playful escape from the world. As Monica Silic, CMO of KFC UKI, explained, the campaign is designed to entertain and provide a break from the often chaotic or dull real world by sharing their absolute chicken obsession. Third, both illustrate how fast food marketing increasingly relies on provocative, polarizing content to cut through the noise of today's media landscape. Just as McDonald's has used transparency campaigns to address health concerns, KFC's agency deliberately created a polarizing ad because we want conversation, according to Martin Rose, executive creative director of Mother London. The ad specifically targets Gen Z with its absurdist humor and surreal imagery in an attempt to stand out in the increasingly competitive fast food chicken wars. What's particularly fascinating is how both controversies reflect our complex relationship with processed foods. McDonald's fries contain 19 ingredients and undergo elaborate industrial processing designed to maximize palatability and profit. Similarly, KFC's ad acknowledges the surreal disconnect between our consumption habits and reality, with one commentator noting, "All the chip arranging and pickle fluffing that goes on in the unreal, surreal world of food beauty makes us all feel slightly deflated when we actually hold the real food in our hands. We're sick of the beauty parade, the sameness, the blandness. We want something to feed our appetite for escapism as well." The religious and cult-like themes in KFC's ad even mirror the quasi-religious devotion many consumers have to fast food brands. Just as McDonald's French fries have inspired fanatic loyalty despite health concerns, KFC's ad portrays fried chicken worship as a form of salvation, with the YouTube description reading, "Do you find yourself lost in the woods of modern life? Fear not, for salvation in source is near, because there's some things we can still believe in chicken." This religious framing, while controversial, accurately reflects how brand loyalty often transcends rational irrational consumer behavior. However, the backlash to both has been significant. Just as Pollan's claims about McDonald's pesticide use sparked concern about food safety, KFC's ad has prompted viewers to comment things like, "Disgusting advert, put me off KFC for life, looks like deep frying a man. What does this have to do with KFC? And maybe they should rename it KFH, Kentucky Fried Human." The imagery of transforming a human into food has disturbed many viewers, just as revelations about industrial food production often disturb consumers. Yet these controversies raise important questions about our food system. Both the McDonald's French fry process and KFC's bizarre gravy ritual highlight the extreme disconnect between natural food and highly processed fast food products. They pull back the curtain on the artificial nature of what we consume, though in very different ways. McDonald's through investigative journalism and KFC through surreal self-parody. What can we learn from comparing these two controversies? First, fast food marketing increasingly acknowledges, even embraces, the artificial and constructed nature of its products. Rather than hiding the unnaturalness of their food, companies now lean into it with provocative, self-aware campaigns that acknowledge the absurdity of our modern food system. Second, both controversies reveal shifting consumer sensibilities. While previous generations might have been content not knowing how their food was made, today's consumers demand transparency. McDonald's has responded with ingredient disclosure and behind-the-scenes videos, while KFC has taken the opposite approach, embracing absurdism and hyperbole rather than attempting to portray their products as natural. Finally, both controversies highlight the profound influence fast food corporations have on our culture, diet, and environment. McDonald's potato demands shape agricultural practices across continents, while KFC's advertising shapes cultural narratives about food and consumption. In both cases, the companies wield enormous influence that extends far beyond their restaurant doors. As consumers, these parallels encourage us to think more critically about our relationship with fast food. Are we making informed choices about what we eat? Do we understand the true costs, environmental, social, and health-related, of our food preferences? And perhaps most importantly, are we in control of our consumption habits, or have they been engineered by corporate interests through sophisticated marketing and food science? Just as Michael Pollan encourages us to vote with our fork 3 times a day, these controversies remind us that every food choice we make is a statement about the kind of food system we want to support. Whether it's McDonald's meticulously engineered fries or KFC's gravy-dunked chicken, understanding what we're really consuming, both physically and culturally, is the first step toward making truly informed choices. What's particularly striking about both the McDonald's French fry controversy and KFC's all-hail gravy ad is that they expose the artifice behind our food choices. McDonald's fries begin as potatoes but end up as highly engineered products with 19 ingredients, while KFC's ad takes this artificiality to its logical extreme, presenting fast food consumption as a surreal, ritualistic act divorced from normal eating. In a way, KFC's bizarre ad is the perfect metaphor for the industrial food system that Pollan critiques. Both involve transformation processes that are so elaborate and removed from natural food preparation that they become almost mythological. Whether it's potatoes stored in football stadium-sized facilities or a man baptized in gravy and reborn as chicken, the distance between nature and what ends up on our plate has never been greater. Perhaps this is why both controversies have resonated so deeply with the public. They touch on our ambivalence about modern food, our simultaneous desire for convenience and authenticity, for indulgence and health, for connection to tradition and embracing of novelty. In navigating these contradictions, we all become part of a larger story about food, culture, and corporate influence that continues to unfold with each meal we choose. The next time you're considering fast food, whether it's McDonald's fries or KFC's gravy-soaked chicken, remember these controversies and what they reveal about our food system. Ask yourself not just, is this safe to eat, but what kind of food culture am I supporting with this choice? Because in today's complex food landscape, every bite is both a personal choice and a political statement. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.